today we're going to do a little tier game, tier Tier. For the audio audience, we're going to try to explain this the best we can. For the visual audience on YouTube, this is what we're doing. So we've got these tiers here. We've got RB1 is the top tier, solid is tier 2, meh is tier 3, and then dead is tier 4. So what we're going to do today is basically go through all of the rookies that are coming into the NFL. If they were to be put onto this NFL team, whatever it's going to be, this would be this kind of situation for them. It'd be a solid situation for them. It could be a potential RB1 situation for them. Potentially, it deads their value straight out the gate, or it's a value, but it's not really there, which would be the meh category. So, guys, do you understand how I'm explaining this? Can I help? Did it sound not confusing when I said that?
I hope you can explain to the listeners better than you can explain to us.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay. Well, first team that we have listed here is the Miami Dolphins. So, guys, basically, if any running back in this draft, it does not matter who it is. It could be Bijan all the way down to Cameron Peoples from Appalachian State. Any of them, if they were to get drafted by the Miami Dolphins, what situation would you consider that?
Meh.
Josh?
It depends on the running back.
I have to I do agree it depends on the running back, but I think that there's real value here other than the Kyle Shanahan reject running backs there. There's not really anyone there to say this is the number one guy. So I personally would put them in the solid category because I feel like it could be a Kenneth Walker situation. If Zach Charbonnet went there, I know we're not talking about individuals, but I'm saying if someone who has upside goes there, obviously I'm not saying any running back inserted here would be great, but I feel like if you got a good enough one, even Gibbs there, I think could eventually take over the workload this year. So yeah, I think I'd put solid.
Yeah. All right. Gibbs or Bijan goes there, but Miami has the 24th ranked offensive line. They ran on 38% of their plays last year. They used Waddle and Hill as their insto facto run game with those short dump offs and stuff. I just don't think Miami, if they get a solid back in there, McDaniels is going to use them. It'll be solid, but I think it's meh. If Bijan goes there, it's solid. He's clearly going to be the starter, but
Mostert, when he was the lead back, or at least in quotations there, he was getting 15, 18 carries a game. 14,
for 9
16,
points.
19, 20, 10. There was some lower games in there too, but of the stretch of 5 games from week 4 to week 9-ish, he was averaging 15 carries a game. I think if you give that to a Gibbs or a Charbonnet,
you still got Wilson there, and you got to. I don't know. I'm just not overly excited about it.
Just to break the tie, I'm going with Matt as well because there's too many mouths to feed right there, and I don't think that Mike McDaniels is going to want to feature a running back coming out of this class. I think down the line in Dynasty, maybe we could have a different discussion about that, but right out the gate, especially for the next couple of years, I don't think that this running back, whoever goes there,
well, that's something we need to clarify. Are we talking about this year? Are we talking about the career of this running back?
Okay, so if they go there, they're the immediate RB1. There's RB1 upside.
I understand that. I'm just talking about because I thought we were talking about promise in the future as well. I thought this was about their career there.
You could eventually be an RB1. There's a chance for every team on here that could possibly
with the 3-year shelf life, bro. You can't do it.
Well, not on Joe's team, but on everybody's team. I'm just talking about the next year and a half.
You should explain the rules again, Billy. I'm just messing with you.
For the love of God. I was about to say, please do not make me explain this again. So we are calling the Miami Dolphins a meh situation if a running back gets drafted there in this draft. There. Got one out of the way. Only 31 more to go. On to the Tennessee Titans.
You said this was going to be a short thing for you.
Well, I was hoping so, but I didn't know how confusing this was going to be to explain. All right, on to the Tennessee Titans. My immediate reaction is dead because I think Derrick Henry's going to be there for a couple of years, but he is potentially on the trading block. So, guys, what do you think?
I'd have to say meh for this. I feel like it's a meh landing spot kind of because I feel like Henry could easily get injured throughout the year. He is getting older. Obviously, he has shown very little signs of slowing down and when he's working, but they have been trying to work in that backup more often. He's not getting the 40, 30 carries every game anymore. Obviously, that still happens. So, I mean, it just depends on. I could see the meh because of the injury and the age factor and the lack thereof RB2 on the team.
Yeah. I mean, what you guys are forgetting is Sacred Heart's own Julius Chestnut is still on that roster. I'm just playing. No, Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee runs the ball a lot. Malik Cunningham's situation is really weird right now. They're out on him all of a sudden. I don't know what happened there.
Malik Willis,
Malik Cunningham. Oh, Jesus Christ.
But
yeah. So and their line, they lost Nate Davis to the Bears. He's pretty solid. So it's man, I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, they don't throw the ball yet.
If the cards fall right, then maybe solid, but it's a stretch.
Yeah.
My problem is like Hassan Haskins is there last year. He was a 4th round running back, and he didn't really get that much run last year. I mean, he wasn't really great in the times he did get in there. But I mean, 2 years ago, they had what's his name with the Bears, Foreman, and he was great. So I it could go either way, I guess, for this new person. But I would say if it's anything that's 3rd round or later, it's probably not going to be a good situation. But we can go meh if you guys think that could lead to good things this year.
I just feel like the 2nd spot's wide open, so therefore they're going to need to alternate with him. So I think that you could actually get some fantasy usage out of him this year, whoever, if they were to go running back.
We'll go meh. Depth chart, you're right, is a big part of this. Okay, on to the New York Jets. I'm going to go right out and say dead right away, but you all can also override me on that if you like.
Dead.
Yeah, 100% dead. The Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter behind Breece Hall. So even if Breece isn't fully healthy, there's no way this rookie is sliding in. And then once Breece is fully back, there's no spots. And with Zonovan Knight and Carter there, there's no way they draft a running back, I feel like.
Yeah, if they draft a running back, I think that is telling if it's before like the 6th round. But yeah, I don't see them going for this in the draft. It'd be a pretty big shock after they spent 2nd round capital last year to go for it this year,
Yeah, the line sucks. They didn't run the ball much last year. Dead. Moving on.
Perfect. All right, on to the Bengals. Now, Joe, I'll let you kick this one off, but there's some interest here.
There is some interest here. If we assume that Joe Mixon is going to make it through this offseason unarrested, then I would put them as solid behind that offense. They're going to run a lot. Mixon clearly is, I would say, on his way out. P. Ryan's in Denver now, so I like it. I mean, it's kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
Solid. So what tier is that, Joe?
Solid.
Okay.
Is there a 5th tier? Can we make a 5th tier? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we were doing 5 tiers, but we thought it'd be too confusing, which this isn't how this already is not going great confusing wise, but 5 would have maybe been over the top.
Yeah, I think
I'd give them solid.
Joe Mixon news aside, because I feel like there's obviously some interest in having him not on the team anymore and yada, yada, yada. But Joe Mixon news aside, he didn't have the best year last year in general, and they were using Samaje Perine even when Mixon was fully healthy. So I have to put this as a solid, like even without all the legal trouble and any other issues that's going on with Joe Mixon. I think we got to put him at solid because I think that this offense is way too high powered. If they were to go after a guy, you're probably getting a pass catching back too, a speedster, something to change. I mean, maybe they go for a bigger guy too. I don't know, but I think that they could immediately have value on the Bengals. So
R.I.P. Chris Evans. I tried to make that a thing so hard. Never happened.
Yeah, it's a tough break. All right. Moving on to the Browns. Josh, what do you think about the Browns straight off? Nick Chubb's still there, but
there's nothing behind Chubb anymore, and they do like their 2nd guy. I want to say dead just because I love Nick Chubb, and I think that last year he proved the haters wrong, i.e. you guys. But yeah, I got to go with meh because there's still upside that there's a second, the 2nd in command there, and I don't think they really need help on the wide receiver side as they did a pretty decent job in free agency and trades. So, I mean, they could probably add 1 and still, but I mean, they really have their starting 3. They have a good tight end. Hopefully Deshaun Watson's good again. I say meh just because there's that opportunity for that Kareem Hunt spot right now. But although there's a chance that Kareem Hunt still comes back to Cleveland. So
it's true.
Since he hasn't been signed.
Well, they said he had flat tires, so I think they're pretty much over him.
They were. That was pretty brutal. I saw that. I was
Yeah.
like, damn. All right.
Yeah, Jerome Ford's been one of my number one like trade for candidates this offseason. So I do like that. I mean, any running back that has the number 2 role to Chubb on the Browns, they run over 50% of the time. They have a great offensive line. That's clearly their plan going into it. So I would say it's tough with Chubb there, but
solid. I think the thing about Kareem Hunt and his, the fact that he didn't have he can't run anymore is they didn't give him double-digit carries since week 8. So it's like you're going to give him a chance where he has six carries against the Buffalo Bills and then he didn't do anything. He's like, yeah, he sucks now. Like, I feel like that was just like such a breakup thing to say. Like, yeah, I know she was a bitch anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right. Like, I don't get it.
I have the Browns as a solid landing spot.
Okay. I'm actually going to agree with Joe. I think it's a solid landing spot. I think Jerome Ford, as much as Joe loves him, I think they are going to bring in competition for him. This is a very good spot to land, especially if you're a pass-catching running back. And I think that person's going to challenge for the RB2 spot on this team. And they do run a lot, so I think the opportunities will be there right away. The only real problem for the Browns is that they're missing a lot of draft capital. So those picks that they do have are going to be at a premium, and is running back really one of the things they want to use that on? That part I don't know.
I have to disagree with you guys here. I'm in the dead meh category. I don't know how that's solid because I don't think they draft a running back, and if they do, it's not an early one because, like you said, they have like 2 picks in the 2nd and 3rd round. So, if that,
going solid. Anyway, on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll start this one off. I'm going to go meh to potentially dead. The only real thing that's keeping it in the meh category is that Travis Etienne isn't exactly a clean bill of health every year. So there is a potential for somebody to come in there. I do think they signed somebody this offseason. My bad. I didn't look that up beforehand.
Dearness Johnson.
Okay, I'm safe. Meh it is then for me. What do you guys think?
I would actually put this as solid, but I can see why meh is in there as well. I love Travis Etienne, but I think they were interested. It was his backfield. They were giving it to him, but I think they saw what happened last year with the injury, or not injury, but just kind of lackluster play.
Started out solid. Cold, got hot though.
I feel like he started out hot, got cold, but that's just me.
Maybe.
I would go dead personally. Even when Etienne was the only back on the roster, they really didn't use him that much. They ran 40% of the time. Yards before contact was at a 2.2, and they have a really shitty line. So I imagine Dearness Johnson's going to get some sort of play on this team, and if they bring someone else in. But, they were giving Travis Etienne essentially 100% of the work after Robinson wasn't there, and they really weren't running him that much. I mean, it looked good for fantasy because he was super efficient, but
yeah, I was gonna say efficiency was good for him. So I guess since we all were different, do we go in the middle there and go meh?
Yeah, I guess so. Not that it means a lot, but they do. Our lads does have JaMychal Hasty ahead of Dearness Johnson on the depth chart. Not that necessarily
same
means
with Sleeper
anything.
actually too.
Yeah, Hasty had one really solid game last year and then disappeared from the planet.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they got rid of James Robinson. I mean, I understand that they would have had to sign him this offseason because wasn't he a free agent this year?
Yeah, but I mean, he still would have been cheaper, I would think.
And now he's a Patriot, so he's going to kill Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
That is going to really be shitty, too, because we finally had one good year out of we'll get to the Patriots. We'll talk about them a bit.
Yeah, we'll get them. All right, up next is the Lions. Joe, we're going to let you make your case.
My case? This one's really tough for me because the offense, the line, the amount they run is a phenomenal running back slot for anyone that lands there. It really just depends. They signed Montgomery to very much starter money, and you can't keep Swift off the field. So for this year, I'd probably say meh, but for potential in the future, I really like whatever back, if they do draft someone, whoever comes in there is going to have a really solid road ahead of them to very valuable touches.
100% dead. There's no way they draft a running back, and if they do, he's buried in the depth chart by Montgomery.
I agree completely.
And
Josh,
hopefully, I mean, the only thing that would be the downfall is if Swift gets injured again. But I don't think that they can plan. They already planned for Swift's replacement with Montgomery. They're not going to go draft a good running back. If they
I think they're over Swift, man. I think they're in
2020. Well, you might be right about that. I think this is a 2024 problem, not a 2023 problem.
Yeah, I think addressing that in the draft would be fine because you got Montgomery for at least a couple of years. And if Swift does get injured, you got Montgomery already there. You're not trying. I mean, Craig Reynolds wasn't great, but he can be the swap back, or they can get someone off of free agency. They're not drafting a running back in the earlier rounds. So
see, but Monty was a serviceable back on a team that ran the ball a lot because we didn't have any wide receivers at all. I don't think he is untouchable as far as competition goes. So I could see him bringing a third back in there. I mean, they clearly Williams last year, they're on the 1 yard line all the time. So Montgomery has valuable in that role, but I could see him. You
missed my rant last week about Monty. He was my trade for. Like, go get him right now. He's gonna have a fucking breakout year.
I just don't think he's untouchable. So that's why I had him in man.
I don't think he's untouchable, but Swift's still there. You know what I mean? They're not trading Swift.
I really think they're just over Swift
I agree, but they're gonna use him this year. They're not gonna just not use him. I mean, he won't have a large role, which I feel like is probably smart at this point. Maybe give him a year.
I think you're right. I think this is a 2023 that we're going to see what we got, and then 2024 is when they're actually going to deal with it. I think we're 1 year too early on it being.
It's a great landing spot, though.
If something does happen,
but
we'll reevaluate it then. We'll reevaluate it then. If it does happen, we'll kind of hash that out when
Billy made it clear
happens.
that we're doing it this
Fuck
year.
You guys.
Okay, wow, we only made it 7 teams in. I'm proud of you, Joe. All right, next one on here is the Minnesota Vikings. If Mattinson would have left, I would say this is a solid, but it leads me to a meh with both him and Cook still there.
Yeah, at the moment, I have to just at where we're at on April 12th, I got to say dead because Cook and Madison are still there. Okay. I mean, there's no room for anyone to touch the ball until one of them leaves, basically. And Nwangu wasn't like phenomenal when anyone was actually. I don't think he had a chance.
Watch out for Ty Chandler, man. Watch out for Ty Chandler.
I can't give. I mean,
they're paying Madison $3.5 million a year, so he's gonna definitely be on the field, kind of like we've been seeing him at least. If not the starter, because Cook wants a trade. So
the thing about Minnesota is unless Cook and Madison are both healthy, which you see a little bit more of, like a little bit for Madison, they've really been a one running back team for so long. They're not really looking forward to that split workload. It's like Cook's the healthy one, he's up. Madison's the healthy one, he's up. And like, obviously Madison has carved out a little bit of a workload after fucking 4 years on the team. But in reality, like it's Cook's backfield when he's healthy and it's Madison's backfield when Cook's down. So there's no room for anyone, in my opinion.
I think you're right. So are we going dead or meh?
Dead.
I mean, unless something changes, which at the moment, Cook and Madison are on the team. So,
I mean, good point. Okay. On to what I think is our first potential RB1 situation. But we got the Buccaneers up now. So I could see the argument between solid and RB1. The problem is, of course, that they have
Baker Mayfield throwing the ball.
White.
Yeah.
Rashad White.
Sorry.
Is standing in the way from it being a full-blown RB1. But I still think, even though they gave him the vote of confidence, even though I said last week he's a potential breakout, I still could see how they might go high in the draft on a running back, even though they don't necessarily need him. What do we think?
I feel like this is the first one since we've started talking about the 8 other teams that this is where it starts becoming, well, shit, is if it's Bijan, we know it's an RB1, but even if it's Gibbs, it's an RB1, but like it comes down to the quality of the player. Cause I think Rashad White's a phenomenal running back. I agreed with you that he could be a great breakout candidate this year. But if they get a Charbonnet or one of the, 4th or 5th running backs off the board, I'd just put it at solid. So it's really, this is one's dependent on who they draft, but I think I'm going to go with solid because I don't think they're going to go Bijan. They have a lot of other issues with their aging team.
It's true.
Although I have seen them as a candidate for drafting Bijan as well. So, but I think a lot of people the people that are making those mock drafts don't really understand what Rashad White is. Joe understands what Rashad White is.
I do. He's awesome, but he's old. Solid is
oh my god.
Solid is my pick here. You got a shitty offense with a shitty offensive line. They ran the least in football last year, second to the least. So that was a lot of Brady. They're going to have to use a running back this year. Rashad White is there. I don't see them. I agree with you, Josh. They're not going to invest heavily in a running back here because, I mean, now with Devin White requesting a trade, they literally are going to have nobody outside of their receivers on this team. So
yeah, that defense aged quickly, and they couldn't really sign those people because they got really expensive because that team was phenomenal with Brady. Honestly, Brady came at the perfect time for that team.
Yeah, even if I would say Gibbs and Bijan would immediately, slot into that number one role. I just don't see them being an RB1 even with that role.
I have to agree with you there. I just Baker Mayfield's running this offense. I was actually joking, but in reality, Baker Mayfield's running this offense. So unless they're doing we're getting Bijan right now, and then next year we're going to go get Caleb Williams, sure.
I think that's the plan, to be honest.
But if you get Bijan, you're not getting Caleb Williams because he's going to put you in games too much.
Hand-raise.
Okay, yeah.
Is RB1 an RB1 in fantasy this year or RB1 on the team?
Fantasy. Potential. If they broke out, if they got on the team and they could have a potential RB1 season, top 12.
Cool. That's what I thought. So yeah,
Brees was last year, essentially. Yeah. But I get what you're saying. We'll leave it at solid. I don't even want to really talk about this next team because of what they've done to the running back position, but they have Christian McCaffrey. It's the San Francisco 49ers. I hate running backs on this team because you just never know. They're going to draft one, and that poor soul is doomed right out the gate because they're going to be stuck in that hellhole of a running back room. Meh or dead, guys?
Oh, 100% dead. I mean, Elijah Mitchell's still there too. And not to mention, even with the injuries, when he came back, he was actually looking really good, in the playoffs, even too, down the stretch. He was looking phenomenal and just kind of shitty for Mitchell. I feel bad for the guy because, they brought in the best. I mean, and then Mitchell's still really good. And I'm actually really excited about Elijah Mitchell. I think he could be a good trade candidate right now because he's still buried behind McCaffrey. And I think you could actually probably buy him. So I think it's dead. They got the best and a pretty damn good one behind him. So
yeah, I would. The thing about San Francisco is they get injured so often all the time that
it's true.
Yeah,
I don't know. They've got it. They did something. They sold their soul to the devil or something because he just takes one running back every 3 games.
Also, and no, he drafts one every fucking year, and they're always good. So honestly, I'm switching mine to meh because you never know with Shanahan. He always seems to make these running backs work, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
There's 6 drafted by Shanahan running backs still in the league.
First switch. We're switching from dead to meh.
No, they're dead. Fuck it. Let's go to the first RB1 team, please.
Yeah, I do like that. Okay, so the next team on here, I went on a rant against last week, but it is the Atlanta Falcons. We're in agreement. This is an RB1 situation, right?
This is an RB1 immediately.
Yeah, 100%. I don't have any debate. I don't think
Allgeier's the guy. Here, yeah, exactly. He's not the guy. You're not inspired by him, I don't think.
No. Atlanta ran the second most of any team last year. They have a great offensive line. Everything here points to Tyler Allgeier was technically from week 13 on last year in RB1, and he's not that talented, guys. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it, but if they put any sort of investment into a running back, he's an RB1.
Okay. Well, we don't need to get on the Falcons. I said enough last week for 2 podcasts.
I'm surprised you're actually taking not taking this time to bitch about
I'm doomed with this. They took the best tight end 2 years ago. They took the best wide receiver last year, and now they're going to take the best running back in this class. What more could they do? Next year, they're going to get the best quarterback in Caleb Williams. So, this Atlanta team is just a hellhole.
I don't think Atlanta will get Bijan. They're not drafting him at 8.
I hope not. I seriously hope not. But we'll see. I don't know. Something about the fantasy gods just says they want to spike.
They need to protect that. They're going to get Skoronski or one of the big tackles.
I hope so.
And guards out there.
Because the thing is, when they made that trade a couple of days ago, that addressed one of their major needs in the draft when they traded with Detroit for what's his name.
They still got to get something going on that offense. Jeff Okudah.
Yeah, Okudah. Yeah, they traded for Okudah, which everybody was kind of, including us, were mocking them a cornerback, and they addressed that. So it's like, well, okay, now Bijan's starting to look better, but I don't know.
It's too early, unless they do the trade back. Like say Levis slips to right there, which I mean, to be fair, could be the case, or it could be a Richardson, Malik Willis type thing. Anthony Richardson could slip down the board, where like Malik Willis, we thought was going to go in the first round, didn't last year. Obviously a little bit different because Richardson looked fucking phenomenal, but he was kind of same concept, stole the offseason show and could slip down the board if a quarterback needy team sees that. And Atlanta really doesn't want to do this and go for Caleb Williams next year. I don't know.
I think if Richardson falls, you have to take Richardson. If Levis falls, you take Bijan. That's kind of where
they're not going to get nobody's drafting Bijan in the first 10. I will fireball bet that right now if you guys want.
All right. I'll do it.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that too. That includes 10, right?
Includes 10. Even the Eagles, if the Eagles do, they're going to trade back with the Patriots or one of the teams in the 14, 15, and then they'll go grab Bijan. When the Eagles trade back from that 10th pick, which they will, I'm going to start getting Bijan hopeful, but until then, I'm not.
Okay, I like it. All right,
it'll be on the Falcons, so you won't have a choice.
Don't worry, I'm prepared for that to happen to me. All right, on to the Ravens. J.K. Dobbins is there. I still think that means a running back could be in their future, and if a running back does end up here, I still think that running back is kind of capped with them having Lamar. But what do you guys think? Potential RB1 situation if that happens?
Potential. I would say solid because, I mean, everything sets up well for a running back. They're very old school in how they go about it. They're going to run a lot. So solid. Dobbins is an absolute stud. I hope he's healthy this year because he could have a really good year. But we know Lamar is going to take a lot of that work from him. So
yeah, I'm actually going to go with meh here, mainly because J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards experiment, which was looking really hopeful this last year in the offseason, and then both of them got injured. That was super rough for them. But I think that at the moment they're still healthy. They're both still on the team. I don't think they get anyone talented enough to usurp both of them, and I don't think they both get injured again this year. I mean, and if they do, it's not like what happened last year where they were out for like the majority of the season type thing. So
interesting.
And then not to mention at the moment it's trending towards Lamar staying there with them getting Odell way too much money.
Yeah, I'm still gonna stick with solid. I think I just don't trust JK that much. And if a running back does end up here, I'm going to feel pretty good about that running back.
He was so good coming out of Ohio State, man. I just want to see that guy.
He was.
At least he needs to get traded and go somewhere because I loved watching him play.
Something for sure. All right, on to the Bears. I think this is a RB1 spot, but Joe, I'll let you talk about your own team.
Oh, this is absolutely an RB1 spot. Khalil Herbert was not drafted by Ryan Poles. They signed Donta Foreman to a good amount of money and Travis Homer to an absurd amount of money for who Travis Homer is as a running back. They're clearly not satisfied with where that running back room is at. And we have a plethora of picks in the mid rounds after all the trades we've done. If we select someone and Poles has his guy that he selects, I think he slots in right away. I know Herbert's good. I like Herbert a lot, but I don't think he's just going to run away with that starting job.
I know this is your team, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. They traded Montgomery because they knew, or they didn't sign Montgomery, I should say, because they knew they had the exact same thing in Khalil Herbert, a younger version who is still on his rookie contract. So he's the dude. And then they brought in discount David Montgomery with Deontay Foreman. So they literally are the exact same running game as last year. They need to beef up on offensive line. They need to beef up on defense and more weapons for Justin Fields.
I just think they have 3 average running backs on the roster right now. If they do have a chance to snag a stud, they're gonna take him.
Oh, so you think Bijan's going at number 9 too?
No, I'm saying no. We're not taking Bijan. Bears Twitter and Bears Bleacher Report community want Bijan at 9.
Oh, the Eagles fucking social media is just like Bijan's going there, and then they're gonna get with the 30th pick, they're gonna get Brian Branch, and I know we mocked him there too because we just didn't place him, but there's no way Brian Branch makes it there either. So like I don't know, people are just crazy,
insane.
I'm going RB1.
Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. Who's the RB1? How? Okay, you're saying that someone drafted by the Bears who's not named Bijan is going to be an RB1 next year? You guys are wrong.
I think it could definitely happen.
Gibbs, Charbonnet, Miller, any of those dudes.
All have a chance.
Fireball bet that they do not have a running back that's even solid drafted in the running back top 20.
I don't even know what the fuck that question means.
I don't know either, but you guys are saying it's an RB1, and I'm giving you like, all right,
so running back that's drafted solid top 20.
I'm saying running back drafted by the Bears will be a top 20 running back, and that's
24. Do top 24.
Okay, sure. I'm already giving you an extra 12, an extra 6 picks, but
with the amount that this team runs, and the line was actually fairly decent at blocking for the run last year. If you get a good rookie back there, I think easily top 20. Give me it. I'll take it.
You know how hard this bet is to win, because you have to hope that the Bears even draft a running back, and then you have to hope that running back.
You never know. Man, James Robinsons and Philip Lindsay's happen all the time.
Tough one
I happen to like cinnamon window washer fluid. So.
Are you in on this too? Are you in on this too, Billy?
Yeah, I am. I'm just like thinking as I'm writing it, like how hard.
No, we're doing some weird
to win.
You'll know. I could have said you'll know, and you'd get there, but you guys are wrong with this one. Chicago Bears are not drafting a good rookie running back as it is, or if not one in general, because they have 2 good running backs already, and they have way more needs to address than a running back.
Well, we're slotting this in as an RB1, even though Josh vehemently disagrees. On to the Cowboys.
Miller's a Bear. Count it.
I love that for you. On to the Cowboys. I think we can all agree RB1 potential, even with Pollard there, right?
Correct.
It's just because Bijan is just so fucking hanging out there for the Cowboys. I really hope that they don't get the best running back in another draft. But yeah, I got to go running back 1 because I don't think they have the faith in Pollard, and that Bijan and that 24 or whatever pick they have is just looking like it might happen, and it angers me.
I have to agree. I don't really have any notes. They got rid of Zeke. They're going to have to put somebody in that spot. And then Pollard, as good as he is not able to do everything that Zeke could.
I will note that Zeke's not signed yet, and I could see him coming back on a team-friendly deal. I don't think that bridge is completely burned as it looks like.
We're doing this as where we're at right now.
I think when you cut a motherfucker with an ego like Zeke, he's not coming back.
Feels like no, but we'll see. Okay, on to the Houston Texans. They have Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. Do we think if a running back gets drafted here that they are going to be relevant?
I don't, because they, once again, this is kind of Chicago Bears reference here. I think they have too many bigger fish to fry. That team is in basically full rebuild mode, and they have the capital to build a somewhat competent team. They've actually, even for as bad as they were last year, they like put on a show, and Dameon Pierce looked great. Of course, injured a little later in the season. And then they grabbed Singletary for their like extra guy. I gotta put meh.
Joe?
I agree. I'm really kind of jumping off the Dameon Pierce train right now, but God, I really want to go solid. It's hurting.
Hey, then why didn't you accept that trade I sent you if you're jumping off the Pierce train?
I really want to go solid here. See, here's what I think happens. I just think Houston has 3 running backs, and they use 3 running backs equally. I don't think there is going to be any rhyme or reason to how these backs are used. That's where I'm at. So give me meh.
Okay. I was going to go dead, so we'll stay at meh.
Pierce had almost 1,000 yards in 13 games and averaged 4.27 yards per carry on the potential worst team in the NFL. I'm sorry. No, Pierce is not dead. I mean, obviously we want to see how he comes back from this injury, but I don't think it's going to be.
How long did it take him to take carries from Burkhead? Enough.
2 weeks.
Nah.
Actually, really 1 week, but I think it was the second week that really did it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think they knew what they had.
Guys.
I agree with your original point, Josh, that they have bigger fish to fry in this draft, and I don't think running back is the one that they need to be after this year. Now, next year, maybe a different story, but this coming season, I think it is not a situation that they need to deal with. So, with that being said, let's get on to the Colts. Jonathan Taylor still kicking around. Do we think they address running back in this spot in a meaningful way or not?
I think they could, but I think that this is dead because I think Jonathan Taylor just had a bad year. I mean, he broke out as a rookie. He was the best running back 2 years ago. He had a bad year last year, but the Colts had a bad year last year. It wasn't his fault. He still did pretty good, averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Touchdowns weren't there because the offense wasn't there. And I mean, obviously it's really easy to shut down a team that's that one-dimensional. I think the Colts address all the other glaring issues, aka quarterback. Although I was excited about Gardner Minshew being there. I was actually kind of sad when we went to the Colts, but Pittman, Alec Pierce, one more wide receiver in there. They have Isaiah McKenzie now. I feel like they could add one more maybe in the draft if they have the opportunity to. I think this team could be a completely different team with a good quarterback. I mean, Matt Ryan wasn't it. So I don't think that they addressed a backup for Jonathan Taylor. And I think even if they did, Jonathan Taylor still owns that backfield for at least one more year. There's no, we're going to switch. There's no switching with Jonathan Taylor. He's the best running back in that draft class a couple years ago. So,
yeah, it's Jonathan Taylor's party. That's what it is.
He could lose it next year. Sure.
Yeah, he could.
He
I doubt he will. My only thing about the Colts is Deion Jackson looked flipping phenomenal when he was in there for Jonathan Taylor. So I think you're getting a guy, if they do draft a rookie, that slots right into the number 2. And we saw how valuable that position could be if Taylor does get hurt. So
they do still have Zach Moss, but they didn't like him last year.
No,
nobody's ever liked Zach Moss, actually, if we're being honest.
Except for Joe.
I love Zach Moss. He'll break out when he's
okay. Sorry, I meant
He's in the Amir Abdullah train now. He's just,
is.
He's gonna pop up, score like 200 points, and then he'll be.
And you guys better have him in your lineup. We'll tell you when to start.
I think we probably go dead. I could see where meh would be.
We're gonna lock in dead, but I do agree with your Deion Jackson point. If for some reason we never wish for injuries, but if there was one, Jonathan Taylor leaves a very wide lane for whoever's behind him. But we're not going to assume an injury is going to happen just for that case to be made. So that being said, on to the LA Rams. This team is a tire fire. They need a lot, but running back is definitely something they could address. So, guys, after Cam Akers died last season, he weirdly arose from the grave in the last couple weeks of the season with Baker Mayfield. Do we think they address it in this draft, or do they just kick the tires and keep Cam Akers running?
Can we call him the Phoenix?
I just literally feels like one.
He arose from the ashes. Well, Kyron Williams was not it last year. Nope. I can't put running back 1 quite there because they don't have a first-round pick, and it's not going to be Bijan. So I mean, you could make the argument for a running back.
Any of the running backs could be there, though. Like if Zach Charbonnet goes to this team.
Bijan, that's the thing. I think this could be an RB1 situation, but I think I'm going to go solid because I will not trust in Cam Akers in fantasy football, and I would take his backup any day. Not Kyron Williams because he wasn't it, but yeah, I'm gonna go solid here because I think they can address a running back in the draft, and I think they can find one that this is like one of the rare teams that like it could be a guy none of us have ever heard of except for Billy because he watches all the college football games. But like it could be a guy like someone out there that nobody's ever heard of, and it's just like, wow, this guy's great, and he's going to start. Maybe he's the preseason show up. Maybe it's the Dameon Pierce situation again. So
it'll be Joe's Muhammad Ibrahim, guaranteed.
There it is. See, I don't even know who that is. There we are.
I could actually, so I'm going to go solid here. I could actually see LA investing in a running back, a quality running back in this draft. You got Stafford coming back. You got Kupp coming back. All this team has is offense right now. They've shipped away most of their good defensive players at this point. Well, Bomber Ernest Jones is going to be an LB1, so don't jump on me on that. But I could see him investing in a running back and trying to go real hard this season to try to get into the playoff spot. I doubt it happens, but I don't think LA in their ownership and their coach, I don't think there's a way that they just bow out gracefully on this one. So I could see him drafting a running back pretty high.
Right.
And it's not a great landing spot, but I think he takes that job from Akers right away.
I actually disagree with you, and I've completely changed my mind, and I'm going RB1 now. Their first draft pick is – I didn't realize they had this draft pick. Their first draft pick is round 2, pick 36, which is Jamar Gibbs written all over it, who is most likely going to slip out of the first. He could get drafted in the first. And you're right. They're just going to swing for the fucking fences because it's the Rams. They have maybe one more year. Why wouldn't they go with the second best running back in the draft? I'm going to RB1, actually, changing it.
That's my thing is why wouldn't they swing for the fences here? Because
I mean, and not to mention their other pieces are there already. I mean, they still have a pretty good defense. At the moment, they still have Aaron Donald, right? Or did
they have? Yeah, they do.
So,
and they have
okay.
no.
I mean,
they have no
traded
picks
Rams
to do a rebuild, so they have to. They have to try again. So running back makes a lot of sense for the Rams, actually.
Yeah, I'm going RB1. I'm changing it. Joe said solid. He can keep that. And Billy, I guess you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I know. I'm staying with solid just because I don't think they go running back high. I think if they do get him, it'll be someone closer to the end.
They have 2 third-round picks and 3 fifth-round picks. So.
You know what this actually screams to me is this could be a potential Zeke Elliott situation. Like, this is where I think he may end up.
That's also fair.
Zeke behind that line, he might average 0.1 yards.
It's not going to be great, but it's going to be like, it's going to be one of those graphics the Sports Center puts up where it's like, who's stopping this? And it's like, well, I mean, everybody. Probably,
anyone.
That's not a very tough.
I actually hate that you put those words together, but god damn it, you're so right, Billy. Zeke going to the Rams.
I just see the graphic in my head where it's like, who's stopping this? It's like Cooper Kupp, Zeke, and Matt Stafford, and it's like anybody, like literally,
except for Cooper Kupp, nobody can stop.
Well, except for Cooper Kupp, but like the rest of them, it's like anybody who even plays a little bit of football could stop that.
With no offensive line and
Pee-wee football teams.
I've just already accepted the fact that Zeke's going to New England. They're just going to have 50 running backs on that.
Wouldn't shock me. That would definitely feel like something they would do. Okay, let's move on to the Chargers. These next couple of teams, I feel like we can probably make quick. But the Chargers, we're going to assume Austin Eckler is still on the team. We're just going to assume that it's not. Well, just because we don't know if he's even going to get traded. Like, I don't even know if they would make that trade. Who knows? But like, I would say probably meh to dead, but you all can make that call.
I'm gonna put meh here as well. And my biggest thing is obviously with Austin Eckler there or whatever. But even though I know this is just about this year, but Austin Eckler still could get traded. I'm just gonna say that there's still a possibility. They still have Isaiah Spiller from last year too, so that's why I can't put it any higher. Otherwise, I'd be like, hey, they could finally actually have that backup to Austin Eckler. But I think he's already on the team. I think it's Isaiah Spiller, and I think they use him a little bit more this year too.
I agree.
And I'd love to see him in a role in general. But yeah, I think Eckler, he's going to play one more year here. I think he's just tired of being okay or good, but not good enough. And I feel like that's what the Chargers are. So,
right. Okay. Yeah. So what are you going, Matt or dead?
I'd go Matt just because I think they might try to get a pass catching guy in there because they only ran the ball 34% of the time last year. If they're gonna bring Eckler down, they got to bring some pass catching up. So there's an opportunity.
There's an opportunity. I couldn't put dead because there's still that opportunity even to be Eckler's number 2. I mean, they could finally do it. I don't see it happening, but they could finally do it.
Okay, on to the Raiders. I think this is dead because Josh Jacobs is not giving up that job. But I would be willing to hear out if anybody has a different opinion.
What contract did he sign?
Good question, Joe. Let's hold Google real quick.
Nothing. He got franchise tagged, didn't he?
I think so, but I'm
pretty sure him, Pollard, and Saquon all got franchise tagged.
I could definitely see.
He said he was willing to run it back. He said he was willing to be franchise tagged if they went out and made some moves on the offense, which technically all they did was swap Jimmy Garoppolo for Carr so far, but I assume they're going to be drafting some wide receivers as well.
They got Jacoby Myers, baby.
Oh, they did get Jacoby Myers. That's my bad. I did forget that.
And they got rid of Darren Waller, so they're making some moves.
I mean, it's a weird lateral moves at this point, in my opinion. I gotta put meh here because of the future more so than anything. Like whether they, obviously we're talking about just only this year, but Jacobs has been phenomenal over the especially RB1 last year, but he's been pretty fucking great over his career so far. But there's nobody behind him. Sorry, Joe. Amir Abdullah is not that guy. And I think that if they are just franchise tagging Josh Jacobs and the season goes down the drain real quick, they're going to see what they have. And so I got to put meh here. I can't put dead.
I just feel like we did this exact same thing, not us necessarily, but just as a fantasy community did this exact same thing last year with, what was that dude's name? Zamir White, I think. Yeah, Zamir White, and we all were like, Zamir White's
he
going to be his year.
anymore?
He is. He's just on like 5th on the depth chart. But like, I just feel like that's this again. Like we're doing it again with whoever they draft. They have like 6 running backs on the team.
But like I said, if they start losing and they're doing exactly what they did last year and they have barely any hope for the playoffs, they're going to see what they got at the very least. And I think that there's still a possibility that something Phoenix is out of this.
Okay. Joe, you tie break. Dead or meh?
I don't care. I'm just going to go dead. I will never have a Raiders running back on my team. It doesn't work that way.
Joe. Okay. On to the Washington. This says football team, but it's definitely the Commanders. I don't like Brian Robinson. I don't really like Antonio Gibson, but I really don't think that they're going to spend any draft capital meaningful, at least on a running back.
Bigger fish to fry, dead, 100%. They love Brian Robinson, too. And Antonio Gibson is still on the team, and he's still going to show what he has, even though they won't use him.
Yeah, let's go dead. I don't really care about this one either. I won't have any.
I just feel like they have to rebuild this. They have to rebuild this team with
Antonio Gibson is an interesting buy low right now.
I agree.
Hey, you guys remember Javid Best?
Yeah, Lions.
I do remember Javid Best.
I was mowing the other day and I thought about him.
I love that. Just mowing and I thought about Javid Best, and man, he was
Javid Best. He's one of those. He was a yard churner. He always churn up some yards.
Nice little pun there. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco is the love of everyone's life this offseason, it feels like. But I'd be willing to listen if they went running back. We've always been wishing for it, but they haven't done it.
Yeah, they're not going to go first-round running back, which would be a great spot for Gibbs. But they got burned with Edwards-Helaire last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was, 3 years ago. Seems like it was just yesterday. So I got to go with meh. And that's just because I don't think that they'll burn too much high draft capital. I think there's still some free agent running backs out there. I think Kareem Hunt could have a homecoming with the Chiefs now that he's been forgiven for his indiscretions. I think the Hunt family is a little too proud for that personally, but I think that it makes sense to go and get a free agent when there's still good ones out there. So, and I think Zeke could take a team-friendly deal just to be on the best team in the league and try to ring chase. So there's just options there for them to not have to go draft one in the second or third round, but they also could because they're done with Edwards-Helaire and they're not getting anything back on that return if they trade him. So
you're right.
Can we go?
I can see that argument
between solid and meh.
Yeah, we need a fifth category.
No,
all right.
Okay,
I had that fifth category.
Here's my thing. Solid is what I would vote. If they do draft a running back decently high, I think it'd be solid because they did not use Pacheco much last year. They still had McKinnon. They still had Edwards-Helaire in there. They still had Rojo for one.
Is McKinnon still on the team?
I do not believe
so. No, he's not.
He's not. He's a free agent right now. Well, I feel like they'd probably just go back to the well and get McKinnon again. I mean, at the very least, if they're going to go sign
I assume they're going to sign a veteran. That would make more sense. But if they do invest in a running back, I would say it's a solid landing spot for sure.
Okay. Zeke, who's stopping this? Just kidding. I'm agreeing with solid. I'm agreeing with solid as well. I think that as much as Pacheco had a fun Super Bowl run, I don't think that necessarily means that he is the answer, but I can see why Chiefs fans feel that way. They did get him hella cheap, so that part is good. All right, moving on to the Saints. They've got Alvin Kamara, they've got Jamal Williams, they've got Eno Benjamin. Got a laundry list of names there, except for maybe Eno Benjamin. I don't know, guys. What's your gut feeling on a running back heading to the Saints?
I really want to. If this was a dynasty conversation, I would probably say solid because I think a rookie running back if they got him this year, it'd be good for the future. But with what they have this year, getting Jamal Williams and having Kamara there, even if he gets suspended for 4 to 6 games, however much we still don't know what the hell's going on with that. But he's not getting suspended for a whole year for an assault charge. It's not a great look for him, but he's not going to not be there at some point throughout the year. So I almost want to say dead because there's like 1-2 weeks that you're getting out of this rookie. Because if Kamara gets suspended, it'll most likely be in the beginning of the year. and you get Jamal Williams and this rookie for a couple weeks, and then unless he like absolutely studs out, I can see the argument for meh here, but like you're getting he's going to be like that flavor of the week if they got a rookie and Kamara gets suspended. It's going to be that guy that like everyone wastes their waiver one on week 1 and then never plays again the entire year because Kamara will be back in a couple weeks and Jamal Williams will take over and get those 1-yard touchdowns. So yeah, I got to put that personally.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, you can make the case for any one of these slots for them. I'd go, man. Their line sucks. Unless the guy plays like Kamara, I don't see any way for an RB1. Solid's in play. Meh is my vote.
I'm going to go with Josh and say dead, to be honest. I don't like this running back situation. And Jamal Williams being kind of the X factor here, I think he gets a lot of run this year. If somebody does get drafted this team, I don't think they're seeing much meaningful playing time until late in the season when they may be out of the playoffs with Derek Carr, or not until next season altogether, just personally.
I think Jamal Williams is better than everyone thinks he is, too.
I agree. I don't know why people don't – like, he just did what he did last year. People still are doubting him.
He had 900 rushing yards, too. It wasn't just 1-yard rush touchdowns, unless he had 900 rushing touchdowns, which I don't think he did. But I'd have to check the stats.
Yeah. Okay, on to the New York Giants. Saquon kind of cast a very large shadow, but it could could be anybody for them. So what do we think of the New York Giants?
It's hard because with the Saquon dilemma going on right now, like I gotta say that it's solid because there could be the Bijan draft pick there. I mean, we got to at least talk about it. I mean, I understand that nobody wants to talk. It isn't camp news. Saquon Barkley could be traded for the same amount of picks as Lamar Jackson, and I would rather.
Nobody's going to trade. If anybody trades 2 picks for running back, they're out of the league. I want them relegated to the XFL.
That's fair. People, I do forget
bring someone up.
Everyone hates running backs in this league now, but I just feel like Saquon Barkley with his news today. I got to go with solid. I'm going to put solid out there. I think that a running back drafted.
Joe, I need somebody who's a realistic person talking. Joe, what do you think?
I'm going to go solid too, man.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro,
the Saquon's on the franchise tag. They don't have any money.
The Giants have nothing behind Saquon. He's on the franchise tag. If he doesn't play or gets traded, that's one thing. But he could get hurt. If they're going to invest in a backup, we assume he's going to get on the field. I mean, there's no one behind Saquon. They had Gary Brightwell running around last year.
I mean, you're right.
Any sort of running back investment, I think it's on the field, at least enough to be serviceable.
And not to mention, once again, same concept as the other team we're talking about. Like if they end up like losing a lot and not having a chance for the playoffs, which the NFC East has one of the toughest schedules this year in general. Like all 4 of them are in the top 8.
We are not going to do this again with the Giants. I think that they are a solid football team. They can definitely.
It's Daniel Jones running the field. If they start doing bad and they draft a rookie and they say they have Zach Charbonnet sitting behind Saquon Barkley and Barkley's on the franchise tag and he's definitely not coming back, you're telling me they're not going to use him? Like the
I don't. Why would they? In solid. They would sign him to a long-term deal if they were in.
He's going to solid. Do this for us, man. Do this.
You know what? Okay. Well, I mean, you all outvoted me, but I just cannot believe this is where we're at. But okay.
Do we need to talk about Philly? Best line, best offense, RB1.
I was going to say this feels like an RB1.
Well, there's already the Bijan rumors, but even if it's Gibbs, I think you still have the RB1, and that seems very likely.
Sean Tucker, I think. Zach Charbonnet goes there. I would say like there's a laundry list of running backs.
You could put fucking Benjamin behind that line, and he's going to put up RB1 numbers. So.
If it's Tajay Sharp,
let it happen.
I thought I was going to have to argue this more. I came prepared with facts and stuff with this one. So
Miles Sanders, I want to hear him.
Sorry to cut you off at the knees.
Let's go.
All right, let's go ahead and do this. Miles Sanders was a standard running back 10, which is already in that one RB1 category. And
what the
PPR,
fuck is an RB10?
He was the running back number 10 on the year in standard, and then 15 on PPR. 1,200 rushing yards on 250 carries, which are now just gone, vacated off the team. And we're going to talk about fucking injury-prone dude from Seattle. I already forgot his name because I'm literally not buying his jersey.
Rashad Penny.
I was going to say Rashad Penny, but I didn't even want to say that because
you're not going to buy his jersey. What a What a hurtful thing for you.
I
to
bought
do.
Miles Sanders jersey, and I'm still a little hurt from that. And anyway, let's just put it there. And then there's another 100 carries from Gainwell and our boy Boston Scott, who we just had to see for another year. No, if they get a rookie running back, he's vaulted to RB1 status just with this offensive line. Like it's beautiful. They will run the ball more. Hopefully Jalen Hurts will stop doing his little QB sneak things at least a little bit more. Maybe we get a big guy who can do that for him.
Yeah, this is the same argument I had for Kenneth Walker last year. Rashad Penny's on the team. He's going to get sneezed on and injure himself. Boom.
Fair
you
enough.
have an RB1.
Fair enough. Okay, well, there goes our Eagles minutes. So on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have Najee Harris. So RB1 seems a little rich. Solid seems a little rich too. I'd probably go in the meh category, but what are you all thinking?
I like solid.
I actually agree with Billy in the meh category. I think Najee, he was I talked about him last week about how I think people need to shut the fuck up about Najee Harris, but they also have Jaylen Warren, who they seem to adore as well as the RB2. I don't think that this person gets playing time. And I mean, they're not drafting a Bijan. They're not drafting a big name guy. They're getting one later. I think in the future, sure. But for this next year, it's Najee Harris's backfield to lose. Once again, the same Jonathan Taylor argument.
I don't think that Najee's going to have no competition going into camp in the Pittsburgh. They did make a pretty good signing on the offensive line that kind of went under the radar. I imagine they're going to build that through the draft a little bit too. I think solid, sneaky solid, but we'll go with man. We'll do what you guys want to do.
Yeah, because we outvoted you.
Next team is the Broncos, Javonte Williams and the legend Samaje Perine himself. I'm thinking meh to dead, but I could listen to something more than that.
Dead.
I mean, they're clearly not comfortable with Javonte right now.
Dead. So, they signed Samaje Perine. They didn't sign a good running back.
I would give him at least meh.
Dead.
They're really actually a very sneaky team to sign a running back.
No, they're not going to. Dead.
Meh, it is.
I'd fireball bet that one
too.
Same concept, but I guess meh would be top 30.
Fuck you guys.
All right, Green Bay Packers, AJ Dillon. They've got Aaron Jones, the two AJs. I still don't feel like running back is near, especially with Jordan Love there, is near a big priority for them. But what do you guys think?
I could listen to good or solid.
I'm going to listen to solid myself. Green Bay actually is a really good running back landing spot. And Aaron Jones is old as dirt at this point for a running back. I mean, I haven't had him on any of my teams for like 5 years now. So, I mean, he's really getting up there to be ancient at this point. So,
no, actually, I just realized because the problem is Aaron Rodgers is still on the team. With Aaron Rodgers, they're a good running team because people are scared of them. With Jordan Love as the quarterback, they're not.
You think Jordan Love is going to try to throw the ball? No, they're just going to hand it off.
Yeah, but they can't do that. We saw what happened with
Aaron Rodgers is not on this team, guys. Just come on.
He still technically is on the depth
chart. Throw it up
on
on solid, Billy. I like it.
I'm switching mine to meh. I just want the record to state.
Okay. I'll keep it solid. They don't have. I don't know. This would take a lot to get to the solid.
They got Aaron Jones. They got AJ Dillon, and they don't have a quarterback, or maybe they.
It would take a lot. It will take a lot. Okay, on to the Panthers. High. They got Miles Sanders now.
100% dead because Miles Sanders is the GOAT.
Dead because that line sucks. Moving on.
Wow, I was gonna go meh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'll put meh. I was actually just
because while Miles Sanders is good, I mean they don't have anything behind him. They don't trust Chuba Hubbard and Rasheem Blackshear. Might as well have not even been there last season. I thought he was gonna be a sneaky pickup, but he was nothing. I might as well have been out there running,
Chuba and Deontay Foreman actually did run pretty well behind a pretty terrible team, and that's why I got to say meh because Chuba's seat is still on the table right now. So
yeah, well, they got the legend Andy Dalton, so I'm sure that'll be fine. Just kidding. They're going to draft somebody, obviously. On to the Cardinals. I think this might be an RB1 situation.
This is an RB1.
They don't have anybody there, and especially with Kyler out, I mean, they definitely don't have anything going on there at all. So
they still have James Conner, right? I mean, I agree that he's nothing, but I was just making sure.
I'm pretty sure he's there for another year. But
I think he's got one more year in his contract.
Well, okay. I don't think any of us like James Conner, so
Somehow the Cardinals have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and they averaged 3.1 yards before contact. These running backs did for him last year. If you get any sort of youth and spryness that's not James Conner in there, you're looking at an RB1.
Yeah, I think you're right. And they did ship out Benjamin, kind of cleared the path a little bit for somebody to potentially come in there. I still don't trust James Conner. I think he is a steal for this year's drafts, but if they drafted somebody there that's even remotely usable, I think they have a clear path to the RB1 situation.
You're wrong. There won't be an RB1 on this team in general, but I will say solid, so you guys can make your decision if you outroll me.
Yes.
Just because I don't believe in James Conner, and I just don't believe that who they go with here, even if pick 34, they pick a running back, I don't think it's RB1 territory. I think that offense has a little bit more work to do, especially with the Hopkins trades lingering. I don't know what's going on.
RB1 it is. All right, on to the Buffalo Bills.
RB1, because I think that this is the Bijan landing spot. It feels right. It feels like they finally decide that Josh Allen is not their running back anymore, and they make him an actual quarterback. And imagine that team with Bijan. That's why I'm saying RB1.
Until Josh Allen decides that Josh Allen is not the RB1 on that team, I think we're looking at a meh, if not solid.
I think this team has learned over these years that, yeah, they're really good, but if they had an actual running back that they actually used, they wouldn't be so fucking one-dimensional, and they could actually do things, and they could beat the Chiefs. But
we're going
until they go get a good running back, I got to go RB1.
Solid. Okay, last two teams are the Seahawks and the Patriots. I feel like they're kind of both similar in the fact that I think they're both either dead or meh.
Seattle's solid.
I feel like Seattle
100%.
could be solid. They really tried to utilize the second running back behind Kenneth Walker, and I mean, that team was pretty good. And if they want to keep Kenneth Walker healthy, which a lot of teams are switching to the 2 RB situation, there's pretty much nothing behind him right now. So I feel like they kind of have to.
Yeah,
but I will agree.
They're going to have to get another back in Seattle. 3.9 yards per contact. They're tied for number 1. Ran the ball a lot. I love Kenneth Walker, but I think they have to do something at running back.
I just saw that behind Kenneth Walker is DJ Dallas and Darwin Thompson. So yeah, they're going to have to bring in a running back. That's not a team, especially a running team.
And maybe it's not even Rashad Penny who's injury prone. Maybe the Seattle injury staff is just terrible. Medical staff.
Yikes.
We haven't talked about that yet.
We have not. You're right. And then the Patriots, I would just call them dead. They're a running back.
Even without a running back here, dead. Like even if they didn't have Ramondre Stevenson, I would want to say at least meh, because you never know what the hell Belichick's going to do with running backs. But with James Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson in town, Patriots are dead. They're not drafting one. They might draft one, but it's not going to be good this year.